I missed most of the Xbox lineup as a kid, but as someone who really wants to play basically everything, it has left me with a couple of big hitters untamed. Halo, a huge series, is, therefore, a game I just have to play, but as a PlayStation kid, I can't say I've had the opportunity to until pretty recently, giving you, the one watching this video, a pretty unique perspective on the games as someone who has no real nostalgia for the series, and a pretty big bias for the PlayStation. Hi,
You're just so down to earth. You're just so human.
But you can just simply call me Amazon. And today I tell you about the reason why Halo should just transition into another genre. When I was a kid, I played Halo once in a while. Not enough to form any real opinions outside of the fact that the Forge map, shaped like a toilet, rival Call of Duty's Nuketown in many areas, and that the melee button is really unfun to get targeted by. So, let's once and for all agree that Sony and their line of PlayStation consoles are in fact superior. Right? Let's get my obvious bias out of the way. I had a PlayStation 3 growing up. Then I moved on to the PlayStation 4. I love these two pieces of technology down to their jet engine sound, stupidly overcomplicated hardware and corrupted hard drives. The console wars between Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox have been ongoing since the early 2000s, when both companies released their first video game consoles. The competition between the two has been fierce, with each company trying to one-up the other in terms of hardware, software, and exclusive games. The console wars have significantly impacted the gaming industry, shaping how console manufacturers approach the market and how gamers choose which console to purchase. In addition to hardware and exclusive games, the two companies have also competed in terms of online services. Both the PlayStation and Xbox offer online multiplayer services, allowing gamers to play with friends and strangers across the globe. The Xbox has traditionally had a stronger focus on online multiplayer, with its Xbox Live service being a major selling point for the original Xbox and Xbox 360. However, the PlayStation has also significantly improved its online capabilities in recent years, with the PlayStation Plus service, offering a range of benefits such as online multiplayer, free monthly games, and discounts on digital purchases. But this doesn't really step close to the Xbox alternative called Game Pass, however, which awards users with a huge library of classics and a lot of games right on the day of their release. Overall, the console wars between the PlayStation and Xbox have been a significant part of the gaming industry for over 2 decades. Both companies have brought a lot of innovation and competition to the market, and the rivalry between the two has helped drive the industry forward. We all had a side in the console wars. I was always on the PlayStation side of things for the same reason anyone else would be. It's the console I owned. But note that I say that in a past sense, because I think that the so-called console wars aren't really a thing anymore. The biggest fight of the console wars, the fiercest battlefield if you may, was the PlayStation 3 versus the Xbox 360. A fight most and often attributed to the Xbox. But what may shock you is the fact that the PlayStation 3 actually won out in terms of sales. Not by a lot, only a couple of million actually. But what I can agree on is that Microsoft did win the generation in a lot of other categories. Game Pass and its focus on multiplayer and community does it. But as a PlayStation fanboy, I have to point at the exclusives of the PlayStation 3, with games such as The Last of Us and the Uncharted series versus Xbox's Gears of War and Halo series. That's completely biased, by the way. I haven't played a single Gears of War game, so take that as you will. But let's stop talking about the legendary console wars. Instead, let's focus on the Halo series. A series that PlayStation never really managed to rival. They did try with the Killzone series, also being a first-person shooter made for the PlayStation, but I think they kind of just gave up and gave way for Call of Duty and Battlefield to satiate the FPS players that chose the blue instead of the green. For this video specifically, I played Halo 2. I played Halo Combat Evolved last year. That's the first Halo title. I played them both on PC with a keyboard and mouse using their semi-remastered versions called the Master Chief Collection. Some people will object to me playing Halo with a mouse and keyboard, so my answer to those people is simply your mom. But in all seriousness, the Master Chief Collection, especially during a sale, is a great deal. So many classics remastered to near perfection. I mean, there's a dedicated button in-game to switching between original and remastered graphics. That's some real confidence right there. And it shows that this wasn't just a simple upscale and repackaging. All you'd have to do is look at a cutscene and compare it to its original. They're so different that a side-by-side doesn't even really make any sense. If Call of Duty were to do one of these, I would buy it so fast. I mean, imagine playing Call of Duty 2 and World at War with RTX and updated textures and meshes. I could die if that ever happened. I wrote this video in a classic the good, the bad and the ugly structure, starting with the good and really good. First off, I want to give the version I played a huge thumbs up. I already spoke on this, but this remaster and bundle of games is just kind of amazing. I mean, they even included the multiplayer for all of these titles, something that they really didn't have to do for people to play it. But the fact that they did really make it just all that much better. They also didn't just give us their campaign with a couple of difficulty sliders and simple save points. No, they went out of their way to include fun challenges, cross progression with multiplayer in the form of skins, and an overall level of polish that makes me really happy. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this feels like a complete package. But enough about that. Let's take a look at the game inside of these sleek menus, the campaigns. I'll just jump right in. I love the larger scale of the battles in Halo compared to the other linear shooters I've played. The battles with vehicles especially are some of the most fun I've had in Halo, and probably some of the most fun I've had in a single player shooter, period. It has this almost timeless feeling of just straight up fun. Something's always going on while the player is still more than capable of keeping up with the action. Like a game of Battlefield's multiplayer component, but you aren't bottom fragging and the tank you're driving is purple instead of a camouflaged green. This feeling of just fun is what Halo truly nailed in my short time with the series. I didn't play Halo in the quote good old days, unquote. No, I was too busy with Call of Duty, so instead I asked my friend Janie to tell us a little about just that, the good old days.
Sup, my name is Jenny, and Amazon has brought me here today to talk about the Halo multiplayer. As someone who didn't really grow up with it, I never got to play on my dad's Xbox, and even when I could, we didn't even own Halo. So when I played Halo, it was at sleepovers and hangouts. And I was the youngest there, so I only played a few hours of the game at most. And it only took that little for me to realize that this game is something else. Something amazing. So amazing that my childhood brain thought the Halo Forge was the afterlife. Don't ask me why. Back on topic, there's something special about being in a room with your friends or your siblings, having some good old-fashioned one-on-ones, whether that be with guns or with energy swords. And man, energy swords are fun. The speed and the range for what's supposed to be a melee weapon is insane, and I've had some of the most heart-pumping experience that no game can match. And with the game's amazing settings, you can make tons of custom game modes to fit your personal style of play. Like, I'm not a huge fan of gunplay in Halo. Maybe I'm just not used to it, but I can make it so I never have to get used to it. I can just go on my merry way only using the energy sword. These tools actually created popular game modes like Infection and Regicide. I mostly played game modes which stopped it from ever feeling too seriously competitive. It's almost like the Mario Party of shooters. And just like Mario Party, it will never feel the same online. Halo multiplayer is infamous for its couch multiplayer, and because of that, nothing else will feel the same. Online with friends is just a different experience, and you'd only know that if you had something to compare it to. But I would be lying if I said there was no fun in online multiplayer. Getting to show off your hard to obtain armor and rep your favorite colors is amazing, and finding a hacker that messes around and creates new and fun experiences for people is downright magical. though that is a dying art form with better anti-cheat, sadly. I might just need to play more online now that I think about it. Well, in conclusion, the Halo multiplayer is really good. Just play together in person for the best experience. That's all I have to say, I think. Bye bye.
I didn't speak on the gunplay at all in the last section of the video, because if I'm being completely honest, I think it isn't something to write home about. Now, that might be my pretty obvious bias for Call of Duty, but I'd like to believe that it's not a question of nostalgia, but more of a deep-rooted and lukewarm feeling towards the time to kill. Time to kill is just what it might sound like, the time it takes to get a kill in said game. Call of Duty often gives you a couple of kills within the rounds of a magazine. About 3 to 6 bullets in the body and about 1 or 2 in the head often secure a kill. While in Halo, I often found myself having to hold my crosshair on a target for a while longer. This in turn leads to some other bigger problems I'll speak about in just a minute or two. Another minor problem I have with Halo as a series overall is the movement. I know that I speak on this part of games just a tad bit too much, but just as I've said many times before, we move just a little bit too much in these games for it to be such a small priority in the game design. In Halo, the movement isn't completely atrocious, however. Don't get me wrong, it's bad, but that's only really down to it being way too floaty and overall kind of slow. There are some ways to alleviate this, and Halo does so pretty well with the aforementioned vehicles, and in the multiplayer, there are things like jump pads and stuff like that to get you to the front line easier. What I would have wanted is a dash of some kind, because if you for some reason decide to jump, you'll be stuck up there with nothing better to do than to simply die and turn off your PC for the foreseeable future. Halo also has a very, in my opinion, stupid and unfun melee mechanic. I don't like being in the middle of a gunfight at close range to then just see my adversary dart towards me with an empty mag, fully intent to just hit me with the back of their fist. I don't like this. I hate it in fact, but I know that deep down that's actually just a skill issue, and I'm not going to learn how to melee anytime soon. But come on Halo, even Call of Duty fixed this issue. This section should have been titled The Ugly, continuing the trend of the good, the bad and the ugly, but I have to admit that this is the main problem that I have with this game, and a problem I often find myself pondering. I hate reloading. In some games, most modern games, reloading fucking sucks. This is often tied to the time to kill, but some games seem to not realize that games with longer time to kill don't really need a reload at all. And worse than that is the fact that Halo has really limited ammo, a somehow even stupider decision than the long reloads. This is probably not a big problem in the multiplayer modes. You won't be alive and get enough kills for that to be a real problem, but in the campaign I often found myself having to pick up the weapons of my dead enemies, which in turn aren't very fun to play with a lot of the time. This all makes me so very sad. Do you know why? Because the fix to all this is so very simple. So simple that Doom already figured it out in 1993. Doom understands that both reloads and limited ammo doesn't really make sense gameplay wise and just isn't fun. Now don't get me wrong, some guns do have a quote-unquote reload animation, the shotguns being a great example, because that makes them so much more balanced. An automatic shotgun is never a fun use of a weapon slot. They always feel less powerful than a standard pump action shotgun because of the weight in between shots. An assault rifle doesn't feel powerful or fun to use if you have to empty an entire magazine into a grunt for them to perish. That's why Halo, in my personal opinion, needs either a 1. Shorter time to kill, or 2. More ammo and less reloading. Wait, do you know what? I'm starting to realize that I want Halo to really lean into the genre it kind of borders on already, an arena shooter. I mean, all it would take is more ammo and fewer reloads, faster movement and less vehicles. But that wouldn't be Halo. The floaty movement complete with the over-centralized melee button, the goofy vehicles combined with the slow time to kill, and the kind of awesome announcer saying stuff like Ultra Kill or whatever. These are things that make Halo into Halo, and I'm just not their target audience, I guess. These things can't really be changed without someone crying, and that's probably the reason why I won't ever be a fan of Halo and its multiplayer component. I'll play the campaigns and enjoy the huge fights, the cool set pieces, and the awesome music, but the multiplayer will always elude me. Especially with that fucked up melee button. Jesus, that's so... Hello fellow patrons and subscribers. I've been pretty uninspired and very distracted lately, so I'm sorry about that. I'll still be posting 1 to 2 videos a month, so don't worry about that. The update on the Minecraft video is as follows. I've started up a server again, and I'm having a lot of fun doing some menial tasks like mining and crafting. I'm also a long way through the script at this point, but I haven't really been working on it for a couple of weeks. Christmas really fucked me up in terms of time. I took a pretty long break from making videos to play some Smash with friends, but I'm happy to say that I'm officially back on the grind. So as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.